Hey everybody, welcome back. We're winding it on down for summer reading. We're moving on into July. And this week we're talking about wildlife management. Last week we talked about getting outdoors, and hiking, camping, all that sort of thing. This week we're going to be a little bit more specific. We're going to be talking about hunting, not exactly fishing because that'll come up soon, but week after next actually. But this is a spring hunting guide, which by the time you guys will be watching this guide will no longer be any good because it's just through June. But the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife always puts out different hunting guides. There's a spring hunting guide and a fall. And we are hoping that maybe come August we can get in contact with them and actually have some of the fall hunting guides. So stay tuned and check back about that if you're interested. And one of the books that we are going to have in our teen nonfiction section over underneath the big giant teen space sign is a book that is Teens and Rural Sports. And it's in the description, it's got rodeos, horses, but specifically hunting and fishing is what we're really looking at. So this goes into depth a little bit more about hunting, safety rules, training, and firearms, and all of that. So if you're interested, you can check that out. So we also have different game and fish magazines over in the adult section. We have Deer and Deer Hunting. I just kind of grabbed some random issues. Kentucky Game and Fish, which now I think, because this would be an older one, I think. Yeah, this is from 19. Now Kentucky Game and Fish is west or south or something like that. It's still Game and Fish, but it doesn't say Kentucky anymore. And then Fur Fish and Game, which is a really old magazine. There is not so much, well, there is kind of some craft things in this week's bag, but mainly wanting to talk about some more in-depth things regarding hunting. One of the things you'll be getting in your bag is all about wild turkeys and how you can tell the hens and the toms apart. And it tells different anatomy bits of the wild turkey. And actually, you will probably notice at the bottom it says Maryland Department of Natural Resources. I just kind of ended up getting that from their online resources. A good portion of our stuff did come from the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife though. And some of this could change, so for the most up-to-date thing you would want to actually go to, you would want to go to the Fish and Wildlife's website, and I'll put it up somewhere around me, maybe in front of me, I don't know. But it's talking about the hunter education requirement. And basically anybody that was born after January 1st, 1975, if they want to hunt, they need to get a hunter orange card. And it's not too bad of a process. You do a online course, which there's the hunteredcourse.com, which is $19.50, hunter-ed.com, which is $28.95. And now, when I got mine, they didn't have this option. But the NRA, there is nra.yourlearningportal.com, and it's actually free. So that's great. So you can actually do that. And currently, unless they change it, there is a virtual range day, where with all of the COVID restrictions, they haven't really been doing the in-person stuff. You have somebody record you handling a gun safely, you're shooting and everything, and send it in to them, and then I assume you get your card in the mail or something like that. But this does talk more about the online courses, the virtual range day, the temporary hunter education, which when I actually got mine, I did that first just to check and make sure if I was actually going to be interested in hunting, if it was going to be something that I could do, just kind of feeling it all out. And it talks about that, and there's just like a small fee for that. I won't say anything specific since I don't remember, but you can get that one time. Once it expires, hunters are no longer exempt and must successfully complete a hunter education course. And it does get exemptions. If you're younger than 12, you may hunt without a course completion card, but must be accompanied by an adult at least 18 years of age. One adult shall not accompany more than 2 children at one time. But it is a good idea to, if you are going hunting, because you will be out a lot of times in the woods, kind of in the middle of nowhere, to always have someone with you. They may not be right there with you. And on that subject, gun safety. You never want to point the gun in a direction you don't want it to go off. You want to make sure that you act as if it is always loaded and treat it as such, and always be safe with it. One of the other things you'll find in your guide is actually a pocket guide. And to use this actually as a pocket guide, you would have to have a very big pocket, but a pocket guide to animal tracks found in Kentucky. And that has got actually how you can keep a record of a track. But I will try to probably include some different things in here about the hunter education. I will also be including some stuff up from the Salado Wildlife Center that is up in Frankfort, and you can actually go to their website to see about their details about the cost and any restrictions that they might have right now, or might not. By the time this is being aired, you never know. But it actually has, you will have in your bag the Salado Wildlife Education Center hiking trails, and you'll have that. And it'll have the different trails, and on the back it will give like trail rules and different things. But there will be that, and maybe some different things from their website. I'm also going to include, probably right after I stop speaking here, a video of some wildlife that we happen to have show up at the back of the library. And there is an animal scat identification chart. And if you're not familiar with what scat is, you'll find out when you get your bag. You may be grossed out, but it'll be okay. Then there is common white-tailed deer sign, because white-tailed deer is very common around here. And it shows how you can find their hoof prints in the snow, mud, and when they are scraping on trees. But there's also some coloring pages with some facts, like a black bear page, one that's got a gray squirrel, and a white-tailed deer. You may have all of these, or you may just have 1 or 2 of these. And then what wildlife would you find in your county? And you can draw pictures of wildlife near your home. There's a wildlife word search of some different Kentucky wildlife. And then this was pretty much just purely for fun. You have been seeing a lot of these, if you've been getting the other bags, little 3D paper craft animals. This week it's going to be a raccoon, because raccoon is one of the wildlife we have around here, even at the library. There's also an excerpt from White Fang. This is kind of more, might feel a little bit more like a homework thing, but it has got a little thing written out here from the book, and then it's got some questions on the back, just kind of to enhance your reading comprehension. And then this part is purely just for fun. There's a game which will include the cards that is called Good Little Hunters, and it says 2 to 5 players, runs about 15 to 30 minutes, and ages 10 and up. But each one of the cards has got like bear, wolf, fox, crow, mouse. And they kind of look like an Uno card, but there is also the instructions on how to play that game. There will also be a, kind of to test your eyes I guess, a sheet here. How many wild animals can you find? And there is an image that when you get to really looking at it, has all sorts of animals. There's an elk in the mountain and multiple other things bears as part of the trees and hills, just kind of a random activity. And then there is a wilderness word search and some other different wilderness things, and wild words, which actually includes some historical events and some quotes from the time period, which was pretty interesting. Let's see, one of the other things you might end up getting is some stuff talking a little bit more about conservation and gaining your own viewpoint of that. There may be some more stuff that I show you in this video, there may not, but then finishing off what I have in hand is a wildlife management study worksheet, and it's actually got all the terms like conservation, balance, carrying capacity, limiting factors, biological surplus, and it goes on. But that's just kind of a match it to it, and if you need to look these up, there's no problem with that, but it's just kind of to learn a little bit more about wildlife conservation and wildlife management. Because so wildlife conservation, wildlife management may seem kind of like a foreign term, but actually hunting actually comes into play with that. And the cards that I will be giving you that's talking about the deer population growing real big will actually be going into that a little bit more in depth. But, because I remember doing an activity like this in, I guess would have probably been one of my science classes in high school. I think that she may have actually used the exact same thing. But there is got to be some sort of population control, because the deer population, we'll use deer as an example, it can be that with anything. But the deer population, if it grows and grows and there is no way of thinning down the herd, then there's likely to be all sorts of illnesses that they get, lack of food, and all sorts of things like that. And in reality, that's actually hurting the herd more. But we're going to have some papers in there talking a little bit more about that. So I guess that's all for this week, and make sure you tune in next week, which will be for the birds, which will be our last one, which is something's fishy. And we'll finish off with a big kersplash, I guess you could say, with a kind of a bigger, more in-depth activity for that week. So I hope to see you guys. Well, you guys won't, I won't be seeing you guys, but I hope you guys see me the next 2 weeks and all the little videos we have throughout. Bye. Am I supposed to do anything? Do this number? Do this arm movement now. And then the week after that will be our last one.